world, my name is Nicholas Montez, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Nicholas Montez. Welcome back to another YouTube channel video, everybody. I'm so excited to have you all back here together again. And in today's video, we will be discussing the newest Disney Plus original MCU series, Loki. The first episode premiered today. And if you're wondering, yes, the Wednesdays are the new Fridays as of right now. I hope they don't do it for future MCU series like What If or Miss Marvel. Because I hate when I like the way they're doing it, posting it early, but it's like when the Disney Plus TV shows were posted on Fridays, it felt a little bit more relaxing because you had something to do over the weekend. But that was only because those shows were posted during school, when I was in school, like, when I was in school time. But anyways, before we get started talking about the actual thoughts on this episode, let's just kind of talk about what were my thoughts about this show when it was first announced, and what were my intentions going into it. Okay, so if you guys know me, of course I love the MCU, and I personally love what these shows have been doing with all these shows, making new things for the characters and stuff like that, especially with like WandaVision, where it was so brand new and like something we haven't really seen in the MCU before, but still adding the layers of character arcs in the story. And then Falcon and Soldier, while it is familiar, it adds new stuff for the characters, new arcs for the characters. But Loki, when I first heard about it, I was like, why are they making a Loki TV show? Cause like, there's not really anything you could do with that. And I had no interest. I really had no interest in what this show could have been like. Because also, if you guys watched Avengers Infinity War, you probably know that he died, Thanos killed him, so it was like, you already did this thing in Thor the Dark World and then in the first Thor, so why are you doing it again when, now I know it's a different Loki from a different timeline. I watched Avengers Endgame, I know it's that Loki from that timeline that escaped, but I kind of don't like the way it ruins the character arc. But when you get my review, I have some thoughts on it that I honestly think about it now, and it kind of makes this little character arc a little bit better. But anyways, but then we got the trailers, and it definitely looked like something I was definitely going to enjoy. It looked like something enjoyable. Granted, I didn't know what it really was. It looked something so weird, just so weird. So I didn't really know what to expect from the trailers. The characters the action looked pretty cool, and some of the CGI looked cool. So from the trailers, I didn't really know what to expect, but then, so it gave me something that I think I was going to enjoy, but I didn't really know what to expect. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. But, so my intentions going into it was that once I heard the reviews for the first episode, because even though some people were able to watch the second episode, I was more focused on the first episode, because that was the episode that's released today. And I heard a lot of great reviews. People were actually mixed on it. Like, people say it's a masterpiece. People say it's not that good. Say that it's low, but you'll hear my thoughts in just a minute. But overall, my intentions were that I was actually kind of excited for it. And that we might get a deeper meaning of Loki, why he does what he does. And one of the things that these shows have done best is tell the characters in new ways, and that's kind of what I'm thinking what this show's gonna be doing, is exploring Loki in new ways. Granted, it's a different Loki, but exploring him in new ways, and then having a redemptive arc for him at the end. And then like adding all these other comic book characters into the mix, like they did with Falcon and Winter Soldier, where they added where they brought back the Dora Milaje, they brought in Battlestar, they brought in all these characters, and it was really cool. So now let's talk about episode 1, Glorious Purpose. Personally, the thing for me, what I loved about this episode, as the first episode, it definitely was a pretty good introduction. I mean, as an episode of itself, it definitely works. But as the introduction of the episode, of this show, I think it's a good one. It's not great, but it's good. But an episode of itself, it's really good. First things first. One of the things that like I said in my expectations part, I think what this show, one of the things that I thought that this episode, what this show is going to be doing is exploring Loki in different ways, kind of like what they did with Wanda and WandaVision, and Sam and Bucky in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and especially how you have a different Loki where he only experienced 2 MCU films, because this Loki is from the Avengers timeline, so he hasn't experienced Thor: The Dark World, Thor: Ragnarok, or Avengers: Infinity War, and he's actually seen that for the first time, and you see the emotion, you see the character, character development that goes throughout him in this episode. Another thing that you gotta talk about is that when we explore Loki in this episode, we also explore why he does what he does, which is kind of just sad and makes it kind of cool the way we explore his character arc. So it made you like Loki a little bit more, and this is probably Loki's best performance. Yes, he's charismatic, he says some of the funniest lines since Thor: Ragnarok, and he just has a great arc in this episode. Another thing you gotta talk about is that the way that this whole thing plays out with the TVA and them like being the protectors of the sacred timelines, I think that that's actually kind of cool. And then when they took Loki out of the timeline with the desert, and then they put this thing and they said to restart the timeline, like, I was like, that's smart. I mean, obviously, if you're restarting a timeline, that obviously means you're probably, like, kind of killing people that were in that place, but, yeah. But that doesn't matter, because they'll be safe. It won't happen, obviously, but, and also, like, the way they did some of the animations of explaining the backstory of the TVA and stuff like that was cool, too. Kind of reminded me of WandaVision a little bit. And also, when they were doing that, I felt like I was waiting in a line of, like, a Disney World ride. That's what my sister said. She was like, what is this, Disney World? So, yeah, that was funny. Oh, and another thing you gotta talk about, the chemistry between Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston. They have great chemistry together. Owen Wilson just has, once again, all I hear in his voice is Lightning McQueen. And I think that's because I kept watching the Cars movies a lot back in December. Because I was preparing for Soul. But anyways, we're not talking about Cars or Soul, we're talking about Loki here. And yeah, they just have great chemistry, and I kind of like the way that Owen Wilson wanted to find out different parts of his perspective. Does he like it when people are getting hurt? Does he like feeling like people are small? Like, it's cool the way they did that and made him come out with his true, like, feelings of his purpose. So that was also cool. And also, this episode just has a lot of great comedy lines with, like, Loki trying to escape from the TVA, and he's trying to and he's going with this other TVA worker, and he's like, mindless, painful, death. Like that scene was funny, and you're like, what's a fish? It's like, it's funny. But then he saw the Infinity Stones, and when I saw that the first time, I was like, wait a minute. Please tell me Thanos didn't actually destroy the stones. He somehow used the Time Stone and sent us or somehow the TVA stole the stones from him and took them. So, but I don't think that was. I honestly don't think it was that. But if it was, it honestly would have been really cool if they did that. But they didn't. But yeah. So that's pretty much the good on this episode. But now let's talk about the bad. So when we get to the bad on this one, first off, like everybody has been saying, this episode feels a bit slow at times. And I'm not saying that the whole episode is slow, but there's specific scenes that feel slow. When you get to the beginning with Owen Wilson's character, kinda like he's going back in time and he's figuring out what happened, what's going on here. And I mean, it was a cool scene because it's the example of how the TVA works, but I just don't think, like, I just don't understand, like, how, I mean, I understand how it works, but, like, why are we spending too much, we're spending too much time talking to this child, and it doesn't make sense to me. And it's like, I want to see more of what's gonna happen. So, it's probably gonna set up some cool things. Another thing that I didn't really like about the episode is that it kind of jumps from plot line to plot line, where Loki tries to escape, and then he tries to go back to see his past. So it's like he believes the stuff, and then he doesn't. And it's like he wants to escape. So that was kind of confusing, but that's really everything I didn't like about the episode, but everything else is pretty solid, and it is a pretty good start to the series. But of the Disney Plus, like, premieres, I would say that this is probably my least favorite. But it's still a really good premiere. Like, my favorite one is obviously WandaVision, because I thought it was so brand new. But this one just was so good. It was good, but it wasn't like the best of the premieres. But yeah, that is my thoughts on this show. Before I give you my score, be sure to tell me down below, what do you guys think about Loki? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Right in between? And are you excited for future episodes that come in the future weeks? Let's get some nice discussion points. With that said, let's get on with my scores. Alright, so that is it for my Loki review, but we're not done yet. We have two more things to talk about before we end this video, and that is to talk about my thoughts on Phase 4, as well as am I excited for future Loki episodes, and then the video will end there. So let's start talking about my thoughts on Phase 4 as of right now. So for me, when we get into, like, the negatives, well, not the negatives, of my thoughts on Phase 4, what I'm gonna be doing with this part of the video is, I'm gonna be talking about how do I think Loki's gonna affect Phase 4. So, if you guys do not know, there's a lot of references in this episode to the multiverse, And if you've seen in previous Marvel projects like Spider-Man Far From Home and WandaVision, we've been getting bunches of teases of the multiverse. In Far From Home, the trailers have been giving us Mysterio fighting elementals and thinking he's from the multiverse, and he wasn't. And then we watched WandaVision, and we were thinking that Evan Peters was going to be from the Fox universe of Quicksilver. He wasn't. But this time, I don't think this could trick us, because Loki is a space. Loki takes place in space, and so I believe that there's gonna be the multiverse, and of course you're having Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange 2 in the Multiverse of Madness, so we know that the multiverse is coming. So maybe this is probably the one that kind of starts the multiverse, and then it does little teases of the multiverse, and then it continues in Spider-Man No Way Home. So we'll see what about that, but I hope that this show kind of gets you excited for the multiverse in the MCU. Alright, so now that I finally watched the first episode, and after not really being excited after not being really excited, I was being very skeptical on this show, we gotta answer this big question. Since I like this episode, am I excited for more episodes? And the answer is yes, I am excited for more episodes. I'm very excited to see different versions of Loki, more interactions between Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston. I'm excited to see more character development of Loki, and I'm just excited to see more of this world. I want to see more of the TVA. So that's really just what I gotta say. So that's pretty much everything for Loki episode 1, the premiere. So that's really all I gotta say. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. My Instagram is Marvel6, and my TikTok is Marvel1fan. If you guys don't understand those names, head to my about section so you can follow me on all social medias. I'm also on Letterboxd. It's the same name as my Instagram, Marvel_6_, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.